What's up, everyone? It's your boy, the Hater, up in this. And I had to stop watching SummerSlam. I started a little late, so that's why this video's a little late, and that's why everything happened a little late, because I was busy all day, cucks. But basically, I had to stop and take a minute to make this video because I just watched the Miz versus Logan Paul match, and I got a few things to say about this, all right? First of all right, I'm not even going to do the review yet. We're going to do a SummerSlam review later because I haven't even watched it. But I just want to talk about this match. First of all, just a quick shout out to the fact that The Miz is one of the best wrestlers ever. I mean, let's be honest, all right? Miz rules. You know, there's a reason why they always keep putting Miz in these positions, right? Because he does have some sort of mainstream appeal, and because he can put people over and he can do good things in the ring when needed, right? But now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about the real star here, all right? Logan Paul. Now, I know he's some internet guy. You know what I mean? I don't know much about him. I know he's like a YouTuber, I think, and a TikTok star or some bullshit like that. But I don't care about that, right? I know him more from the fact that he does fights now, along with his brother Jake Paul. Jake Paul's like the better one. But Logan Paul, Jesus Christ, man. I mean, let's fucking say it like it is, all right? Let's fucking say it like it is. Nobody wants to say these things except for the hater, right? But the facts are what the facts are. When people, including myself, were marking out about Pat McAfee's first match being amazing against Adam Cole, right? This was 50 times better than that. In my opinion, right, if you don't count the WrestleMania match that he had when he was tagging with The Miz, which I don't really count because it's like a, you know, WrestleMania like attraction match, this was an actual pro wrestling match, right? And in my personal opinion, this was the best, by far the best wrestling match I've ever seen where one of the guys is not a wrestler, right? By far, nothing comes even close to it, right? This was an amazing match. Now, if people like Dave Meltzer had any balls, they would give this match the 5 stars that it deserves, right? I've never seen anything like this before in my life. You know, straight up, I'm not even joking, right? During this match, which got better and better as it went along, there were a few goofy things, but it doesn't matter. During the match kept getting better and better, and Logan Paul kept doing more and more moves. About like 40 or 30% into the match, I thought to myself, this guy has literally done, I've seen this guy do more moves in this one match, in the 30%, the first 30% of the match, than I've seen Finn Balor and Nakamura do in their entire careers combined, motherfucks, combined. Like in one match, Logan Paul has literally done more moves than Finn Balor has ever done in his WWE career. Think about that for a second. Think about that for a second because we're going to get back to that. And also Nakamura, he's done about, you know, like he probably did like 15, 20 moves, right? About 10 of them are cooler than anything Nakamura's ever done in his life, right? And this is his first match. So let's compartmentalize that for a second as well, right? Because we're going to compare him to these two jobbers a bit more as we go along. Now, number 2, Logan Paul comes out. He's absolutely jacked. I know people were saying, and when I first mentioned this, oh, he's too skinny. No, he looks believable. He's got big biceps. He's clearly a strong and athletic guy. He's stronger and more athletic than The Miz. And if they were to fight in real life, he would beat the shit out of The Miz, okay? That's not even up for debate as far as I'm concerned, right? It wouldn't even be close. Same thing with Ciampa. I mean, like, the fact that Ciampa was in this match really shows how bad the state of wrestling is. Like, Ciampa's supposed to be, I'm supposed to believe that Ciampa's a tough guy. And don't get me wrong. For what he is, Ciampa is very, very, like, you know, in shape. Like, he's very athletic, you know? No doubt about it, right? But he should be in a tag team with John Silver from AEW, right? And their gimmick should be they're both too short to do anything in singles matches, right? So they're a tag team. That's pretty much where his character should go as far as I'm concerned. Next to Logan Paul, he looked like a child, right? Just the suggestion that someone like Logan Paul would ever be intimidated by Tommaso Ciampa is just silly, right? It's just silly. Like, you look at Logan Paul and you're like, this guy could probably, I'm not even exaggerating, he could probably beat Ciampa up with one arm. If someone said, Hater, we're going to have a boxing match or a wrestling match or any kind of fight, right? And it's going to be Logan Paul with one arm versus Ciampa, I would take Logan Paul, right? Simple as that. Logan Paul is believable. He's athletic, he's young, and he is yoked. You know what I'm saying? This guy was cut as shit. So, in terms of appearance, if I compare him to, let's say, like Finn Balor, all right, Finn Balor might be more defined. He has more muscle definition, but he's also about 5'1". You know what I mean? So Logan Paul, like when you put him next to someone like Finn Balor, it's like it's not even like an actual debate. You know, it's like if you took Logan Paul and you took Finn Balor and nobody knew who the hell they were, and you said which one of these guys is the professional wrestler, and you had 100 people that never watched them guess, like 99% would guess Logan Paul, right? It's as simple as that. So, and then let's not even compare him to Nakamura, who's basically like skinny fat. I mean, like when I said he could beat Ciampa with one arm behind his back, he could probably beat Nakamura like using like just one arm, no legs, no nothing. You know what I mean? They're not even in the same category. Oh, but hater, Nakamura did MMA. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if he went and did MMA against like Katsuyori Shibata or some other guy who's like 2-15. No. Logan Paul would beat the shit out of him. It's not even close, right? So I say all this because I'm trying to show that Logan Paul is also presentable as a wrestler, right? He also looks the part. Now, again, he's a kid, he's goofy, he's got his own little persona, so there are other things. Now, let's talk about the match a little bit more, right? During the match, he did a phenomenal, these are just the moves that I remember off the top of my head. He did a phenomenal forearm, which again, wasn't that great, right? He did the skull-crushing finale. This is Logan Paul we're talking about. He did a frog splash from the top turnbuckle to the announce table, which looked amazing, by the way. He did that. He did a crossbody. He did a blockbuster. He did several clotheslines. He did a few leapfrogs. He did the splits. You know what I'm saying? He did the splits, motherfuckers. He did the splits. He did a bunch of moves, right, that he has no business doing and he has no reason to do. He was athletic and he was believable. This is his first match. Now, to me, the real topic here isn't, oh, wow, look how good Logan Paul is, because I'm not even, I can't even say that. I don't know enough, right? I've only seen one match. But what I can say is this, that the standard for a WWE wrestler is so low that a non-wrestler can come in and outperform the current wrestlers, right? Maybe it's just the work ethic that these other celebrities have. I think that might be it, right? Because when they have these like guest people do matches, it's people like Pat McAfee who have found success in much more competitive things, right? He was an NFL player for a long time, you know? You have to be really competitive to become good enough to be in the NFL. If you're Logan Paul, you have to be very hardworking, very competitive to achieve all the success that he's achieved, right? Bad Bunny, same thing, cuckolds. You know, do you think I think Bad Bunny's music is kind of shit, but I do respect the fact that he's a multi-million-dollar selling artist, right? That means he works hard, most likely. So he puts that same work ethic in trying to learn how to wrestle, and even though he looks like shit, Bad Bunny I'm talking about, right? He goes out there and he does better moves than Nakamura, that's his career. You know what I mean? And it's very obvious. It's very obvious. Obviously, the people that go into wrestling nowadays, right, and maybe always, I don't know, but definitely nowadays, are just a bunch of losers. That's the only explanation, right? It's like there are very few Brock Lesnar's and Kurt Angles and Randy Orton's left. You know, now it's a bunch of Tommaso Ciampas, right? This guy comes up, does like a running knee, makes a menacing face, calls the title Goldie, and everyone loses their mind. Then you put him next to a real man like Logan Paul, and then you realize, you're like, oh, of course this guy's never going to become a main eventer. How can he be? I mean, look at him and look at the celebrity guest, right? I remember one time in the Royal Rumble, Drew Carey came in. He took the spot of Lowdown, D'Lo Brown, and Chaz. Right? I think it was Chaz, yeah. Chaz and D'Lo Brown had a tag team called the Lowdown, right? And they were allotted one spot in the Royal Rumble, and they couldn't decide who was going to get it. And then Vince McMahon said, neither of you are getting it. Drew Carey's getting it, right? That was a celebrity guest. And Drew Carey walked out and eliminated himself, right, when Kane came into the ring. Because he understood that I'm Drew Carey, I'm a fat amoeba, and this is Kane. So I gotta bounce, right? Nowadays, fast forward like 20 years or whatever, right? Now you have, instead of Drew Carey, you have Logan Paul, and the guy that he's in the ring with is Tommaso Ciampa or even The Miz, right? He looks way more athletic and way more tough than The Miz. This guy is just, he looks like an athlete, right? And the reason why I bring all this up is because I'm sick and tired, as you all know, of hearing all this nonsense, especially now in the post-Vince McMahon era, like a bunch of crap, right? Especially now, you're hearing all these things like, oh, now that Triple H is in charge, Kevin Owens and Finn Balor are going to get pushed, right? Shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Shut the fuck up. Kevin Owens? Are you kidding me? You look at Kevin Owens, you look at Logan Paul, and you're like, Logan Paul would beat Kevin Owens in literally any kind of physical competition ever, right? There's not one thing physically that Kevin Owens will be able to do better than Logan Paul. He'll beat him in hopscotch. He'll beat him in basketball. He'll beat him in boxing. He'll beat him in wrestling. He'll beat him in MMA. He'll beat him in anything. Like, it's not even like, they're not even the same species at this point, right? And people want to see Kevin Owens get pushed. But he's good on the mic, hater. No, he's not good on the mic. If he were good on the mic, they wouldn't put him with Jericho so Jericho could save his ass during that entire bullshit Universal title run that he had, right? Remember that? When he like stumbled the entire promo and Jericho was like, shit, I gotta save this motherfucker from making a bigger ass of himself than he already has for the past 10 years, right? Same thing with everybody else. You want to sell me Sami Zayn as a believable wrestler? And then, but the guest, the celebrity guest, looks tougher and is a better wrestler than him? This is unexcusable. inexcusable, I should say, cucks, inexcusable. When did it become okay for the guest celebrity wrestler to do more moves than the entire NXT roster has done their entire careers? I mean, it is preposterous, right? It's not just Nakamura and Finn Balor. I use them because they're easy marks, you know? It's easy to list the 3 moves that Nakamura and Finn Balor each have, right? But there's other ones, you know? A lot of these NXT type jobbers have their 3 or 4 moves, like Bobby Fish. What the fuck did Bobby Fish do? He had like a 5-year career in NXT, and all he did was a little kick combo. That's literally all he did is he kicked people. He didn't do one grappling move. He's just a guy that came out there like pretend you kick people. People are like, wow, Bobby Fish is a great wrestler. And I like Bobby Fish. I'm not saying he sucks or anything, right? But he is what he is, right? And Logan Paul is what he is. It's really that simple. Logan Paul is obviously a fan of wrestling, a fan of real wrestling. So he goes out there, he works hard, he learns the moves, and he executes them flawlessly. Finn Balor comes out there, points his fingers at someone, runs, does a drop kick, then does another kick, does a penalty kick, does like a kick where he holds the rope on the other side of the apron, does the coup de grace, which is basically a kick, right? All he does is kicks, and people are like, wow, this guy's underrated. And you would think that there'd be something else there that you could hang your hat on, right? Because that happens sometimes. Sometimes you have these wrestlers that aren't good in the ring, but they do something else that's amazing, right? You know? And sometimes when you see this, you're like, okay, I get it. Like, fine, this guy's not like the best in the ring, but, you know, we're going to tolerate the fact that he's not the best in the ring because he's going to do other cool shit, you know? All the time. I mean, even that's not good enough if you ask me, because generally speaking, the great wrestlers are people that can do both, right? And I don't mean, you know, go to the ring and do like chain wrestling, all this crap. But I'm saying, for example, The Rock and Stone Cold, people always say, oh, they didn't have many moves. True, but they were always fluid, right? Very rarely did Stone Cold or The Rock botch moves. Or Randy Orton, he like never botches anything, right? Now people are like, oh, it's easy to not to botch if all you do is headlocks. I agree. But Logan Paul didn't do that, did he, motherfucks? He did moves better than wrestlers. Like, he did the frog splash. I'm going to fucking say it, motherfuckers. He did it better than Eddie Guerrero. He did it better than Eddie Guerrero. What do you think of them apples? He did. Eddie Guerrero never did that shit. Eddie Guerrero, he never had the athleticism to jump from the top rope all the way to the table and do a frog splash. No way. You know, this was like an RVD level frog splash. You know, if we're being honest, right? That's all I ask is that we're honest. You know, no one's trying to blow smoke up Logan Paul's ass. I don't give a rat's ass if I ever see him again. But the facts are what the facts are. We have to be honest. And this was not a good day for wrestling as a result of the Logan Paul match. Now, it was good because it was entertaining. It was like one of the best matches I've seen in fucking months, if not years, right? It was just a really good match. It was a really solid match. But what it says about wrestling is very problematic because it says that either wrestlers nowadays are just complete shit, or more likely than not, they just don't care enough, right? They just don't care enough, you know? Like, if someone were to ask me, and I'm being 100%, if someone were to ask me, say, Hater, you want to watch Okada versus Kenny Omega or Miz versus Logan Paul? I would have to answer by saying this. Well, considering that I've seen some of the 5-star, 7-star matches that Okada and Omega have had, right? I honestly believe that Logan Paul did more moves than both guys in both matches that I've seen. I honestly believe that. Like, I didn't count, right? But if I count, I think I'd be right. You know what I'm saying? It's as simple as that, right? And when I say, I fucking mean it seriously. When I believe, honestly, that even in one match, right, Logan Paul, I think, is better in the ring, motherfuckers. I think he's better in the ring than Nakamura and Balor combined. Let alone other jabros like Adam Cole. Like, it's not even close. Adam Cole's like botches every 2 moves. Like, compare someone like Kofi Kingston, let's say, right? Kofi Kingston, who we always have to hear, one of the best athletes in WWE history. Logan Paul is like about 15 times more athletic than Kofi Kingston. It's not even close. It's not even close, motherfucks. It's not even close, right? And it's easy, I know, it's easy to lump Logan Paul in with like the David Arquettes of the world, right? It's easy, oh, he's just a celebrity. He doesn't deserve it. He's taking away time from Dolph Ziggler. He's better than Dolph Ziggler, motherfucks. He's better than Dolph Ziggler. And that's the problem. Nobody wants to accept this because people have this weird indie hierarchy, right? Where it's like, oh, if you want, like the more obscure the world championship that you have is, the better you're considered, right? Like, if someone is the ROH world champion, some other asshole will be like, well, you know, this other guy was the FIP world champion, and he's better, he's more underrated. Like, shut the fuck up. Logan Paul's better than all of them. Like Logan Paul is better than every wrestler, except for maybe Cesaro, that wrestled in the ROH show. He's better than Samoa Joe. You know what I'm saying? Like, I only need one match to know that he's better. You know what I mean? You can just tell. I've never been entertained like this by Samoa Joe, except for that one match with AJ Styles and Daniels, right? I've never been entertained like this by Samoa Joe since then. You know, it is what it is. And not only that, now I've never like really heard Logan Paul talk on the mic or anything, right? But I mean, he's made a living just talking shit. So I'm assuming he's going to be good, if he trains a little bit, right? But he sure as shit's better than Nakamura and Balor. You know what I mean? And that's the problem with wrestling today. That's the problem with the Triple H philosophy and mentality. He thinks that hiring some jobber who puts on face paint to look like the Joker and then the Demon is a viable strategy to attract eyeballs. And then everyone's surprised why the ratings are down. You get Logan Paul and you're like, holy shit, man. Like, people freaked out, like Pat McAfee, who had a decent matches, but a few botches here and there. Logan Paul, no botches. No botches, motherfuckers, at least from what I saw. So this is a very important point. The point is quite simple, right? Wrestlers need to, up their game a little bit. WWE needs to up their game in signing wrestlers, right? Because, you're spending money, you're wasting money on people like Eric and Ivar, You're wasting money on Montez Ford. Like, it's a complete waste of money. Like, Logan Paul is better than Montez Ford at everything that it takes to be a wrestler. Like, literally everything. There's not one thing that Montez Ford is better than Logan Paul at. Not one thing, in my opinion, Like, what's he better than him at? And don't even get me started on, like, Angelo Dawkins and all that other bullshit. That's not even, like, they're not even on the same universe, right? You got all these jobbers taking up money, like FTR and some other bullshit. I'd rather see Logan Paul than FTR. So, here's the problem. Nobody wants to say this, but because the problem is they're like, oh, they don't have enough big guys. They don't have enough good guys. They don't have enough good guys. That's always been my argument, right? It's not that, that Karrion Kross sucks, in my opinion, because, like, he's missing some intangible. No, he sucks because he's not good enough. He sucks because he's not charismatic. He sucks because he has no personality. And he sucks because he has 3 moves. His entire NXT career can be summed up by the first 2 minutes of the Logan Paul match. He did more moves in 2 minutes than Karrion Kross has done his entire life. So that's what I'm getting at. Wrestlers aren't good anymore, And I don't want to hear this other horseshit, oh, they're being limited. Because I watched Nakamura in New Japan. He had 3 moves there too, motherfucks. Oh, he also had the landslide. Yeah, he had 4 moves there. Now he has 3. Big fucking deal, That's another bullshit argument. Oh, WWE limits their superstars. They just let Logan Paul do a frog splash from the top rope to the announce table. And you don't think they're going to let, like, fucking, what's it called? Finn Balor do the 1916 as many times as he wants? Get the fuck out of here. That's so stupid. You know what I mean? Think about it. If WWE limits all these wrestlers, then you would expect Cesaro to have more moves in AEW. He doesn't. It's the same exact moves. You know what I'm saying? And as a matter of fact, he has worse moves. Now he's doing the Ricola bomb again. Nobody banned that, obviously, right? It's just a shit move. That's what I'm getting at, right? You would expect that all these people that have been held back by WWE, like Pac, like Moxley, they'd be having 10-star matches because now they're unleashed. WWE banned them, so now they can do whatever they want. Why isn't Jeff Hardy, who's better than everyone that I just mentioned, why isn't he doing all these other new crazy moves now that he's been released? Get the fuck out of here. We've seen these people go to TNA. We've seen them go to ROH. Right? Samoa Joe was just as shitty in ROH and in TNA than he was in WWE, right? Move-wise, at least, right? Same moves. AJ Styles, who's always been good, for example. Nobody says they limited him. Nobody says they limited Seth Rollins. Nobody says they limited Cesaro. It's always the people that suck ass that are limited by WWE. It's because people don't ever watch them anywhere else. But the hater, who's a big wrestling fan, cause he does go watch them, elsewhere. Like, I've seen Nakamura in New Japan, like I said. He has 3 moves there. He has 3 moves on SmackDown. People are like, oh, I wonder if they're going to ban the Kinshasa. It's too dangerous for WWE. They didn't ban it. They let him do it. He's still shit. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Balor. These guys are people with no charisma and no moves, right? And there you go. There you have it. It's quite simple. It's as simple as it gets, cucks. Simple as it gets. We need better wrestlers in wrestling. And not just for WWE, but everywhere. We need better wrestlers so that people like Logan Paul cannot come and show up the whole roster, right? Like, I could be convinced into thinking that Logan Paul should be the #1 contender. Honestly, I'm not even joking. Just based on his performance. He did more moves. Like, he cares more about having a good match than everyone in that roster, except for maybe, like, AJ Styles or The Miz or, like, a few of these other, like, veteran types that actually care. Right? He cares more. You know what I'm saying? When The Rock comes back, he cares more. That's why The Rock has better matches than CM Punk. Because he cares more and he has a better work ethic than CM Punk. CM Punk comes out there, just slogs his way through his entire career. People are like, wow, best in the world. Shut your mouths. You know what I'm saying? See what the fuck's happening to your sport. See what's happening. A fucking YouTuber is coming in there, right, doing the exact same thing his brother's doing in boxing and in MMA. Jake Paul's out there knocking out world champions. People are like, it's because like, they're doing boxing. It's not because they can wrestle. Jake Paul would beat Tyron Woodley in anything, motherfucks. He's a different level of an athlete. He would beat him in UFC. He'd beat him in anything, you know? There's nothing that Tyron Woodley could do better than him. Just like there's nothing that someone like fucking Ciampa or, you know, fucking, let's see, the Finn Balor or Nakamura or any of these guys could do better than Logan Paul. They're not athletic enough. It's quite simple. It's as simple as that. They're not athletic enough, you know? So shout out to Logan Paul for doing that. You know, he did a great job. It really showed that he cares about his career, right? I know he's not going to stick around. He's not going to be like a champion there. Probably not, at least, right? He's not going to stick around. But he's shown that he cares. And that's what matters. Even if you're going to go there for a one-off, you're going to show you're going to care. Like Maria Menounos did, like WrestleMania, whatever, back in the day, right? Even Snooki, right? They come, they care. They try their best. Like they're not like the best at it because they're not super athletic. But Logan Paul apparently is super athletic. He's more athletic than Miz, that's for sure. He's not better than Miz. I'm not gonna go that far. Miz is great, but he's more athletic than Miz. And if anything, that was the only drawback I had. The only complaint I have of this match is the fact that Miz lost. Like obviously during the match, as the match was going on, I wanted Miz to lose because Logan Paul was doing so well. But from a kayfabe perspective, it's almost like, wait a second, the Miz is like Corey Graves said, you know. But by the way, the announcing was shit. You know, one of them, I think it was Byron or the other one. They said they're like, oh, AJ Styles must have trained, Logan Paul, and then the other one was like, yeah, he must have given him phenomenal training. Like, shut the fuck up. He should have been fired on the spot just for that. Vince McMahon should have been like this is probably Triple H like saying in his ear, say this. I think it's funny. You know what I mean? Shawn Michaels was always the better one in DX, anyways. But the facts are what the facts are, right? Announcing was shit, but Logan Paul killed it. And the fact that he killed it speaks volumes, you know, and that's what I want to see. I want to see people do well, and I don't care who they are. All I care is that I see something entertaining. And tonight, based on that, I was entertained. And now that I'm going to log off this video real fast, motherfuckers, you know, I'm going to go watch the rest of the event. And I'm actually looking forward to it now. Now, of course, I'm going to skip like a bunch of the bullshit, but, you know, I'm glad I didn't skip this. This was fucking fantastic, right? Way, way better than I ever would have imagined. So, good for him, you know. Good for Logan Paul. I hope that he has another match because that was entertaining as hell. You know what I mean? But as I said, the only thing that I would change would be that, like, you can't really have, you know, a guy who's main event at WrestleMania and beating John Cena, even though he didn't beat him clean, a two-time world champion, The Miz. You can't really have him lose to, like, a guy who's having his first singles match. You really can't. It's just bad form, right? And it's not like he lost to, like, you know, a debuting, like, you know, whatever, Gabe, whatever, the Olympian. Like, fine, you lose to him, fine. Okay, I get it. He's legit. You know, if he loses to, like, Ken Velasquez, all right, fine. But you losing to a YouTuber, it shouldn't be like that. But I will say that it was believable, right? It's believable, you know? Like, it's believable that Miz lost. It's not like Miz is not like fucking Brock Lesnar. He's just a Miz. He's not The Rock. He's not Stone Cold. So it's believable that he lost. But that was a little bit whack. But you know, nevertheless, I thought the match was fantastic. 5-star match in my book. One of the best matches I've ever seen in the last, like, 5-10 years. I'm not even joking. I put this as, like, top 15 matches of the last, like, 15 years. No joke. This was an amazing match to me. Amazing, right? So, with that being said, what does that say about the world, right? What does it say about the world? Logan Paul, in my personal opinion, has had a better match now than, like, everyone in New Japan I've ever seen. Like, this was better than every New Japan match I've ever seen. So, kiss my ass. You know what I'm saying? Suck it, motherfuckers.